breaking news from CBS 6.
And good afternoon, everyone. We begin with that breaking news right off the top this noon. I'm Liz Bishop. Another Colony motel being searched by police right now for code violations. And it's owned by the same man who just had his other motel shut down because of deplorable conditions inside. Jennifer Mullen joins us live along Central Avenue in Colony. And Jennifer, what have you learned?
Well, the Blu-Bell Motel here on Central, it's a very similar scene to the Skyline Motel that we told you about last week, Liz. I'm joined by Mike Dooley right now. He is the town attorney. Mike, how long have you been on scene?
We've been here since approximately 10 o'clock this morning.
And what have you learned?
That many of the rooms have code violations, multiple code violations. The engineers from CHA are going through now doing their inspection, along with our chief building inspectors and our commercial building inspectors. And what we found is numerous violations, as we expected.
Now, the Skyline had about 250 code violations. How does this compare to that?
I don't know yet. We haven't gotten the final report from the engineers, and they're still examining rooms. So I won't have totals probably until the end of the day.
Just minutes ago, you told me you got another key. So originally, when you first got on scene, you were able to go through certain rooms or certain parts of this motel. Now you're able to go into another?
Right now we have access to the entire motel. When we arrived here this morning, the building manager only had keys to some of the rooms because apparently they had hired someone on Monday to come in and put new locks on doors of many of the units.
Talk to me a little bit about the residents. How is that differentiated from what you found at Skyline? Is there a difference? I think you said something about 2 sex offenders here.
Well, there are 2 sex offenders, registered sex offenders, that are staying here. And other than that, it looks like there's just, families. I'm not sure if there's families here, but just, people living here. I wouldn't know how to describe them other than that.
Have you had to kick them out yet?
No, we don't kick out anyone, and we wouldn't kick out anyone in this type of weather. What will happen is if we find that a room that is occupied is uninhabitable because of code violations, then we would try to have the owner, whose responsibility it is ultimately to find a place for them to stay, make arrangements for them to live or move into a room that is habitable.
Talk to me a little bit about the owner. He is facing already so many fines and charges because of what's happening at the Skyline. What happens now with this?
Well, what will happen now is that there will be additional charges filed against him as far as code violations. And again, that's going to depend on the report that we receive from our inspectors. And we won't have that until the end of the day because they're still going through the rooms. But we will do, what the law provides. And, what actually brought us here was the fact that they were doing work here without permits. And we were concerned that they were doing cosmetic work to hide, that could possibly be hiding serious code violations and violations to the health and safety of the tenants.
All right, Mike, go warm up. Thank you so much. We're going to have hopefully much more for you tonight at 5 o'clock. But as you just heard, Liz, it's a very similar scene to what we told you about the Skyline Motel last week. Liz?